International Desk, I'm Lynda Kinked. A deal has been done and it comes with a lot of conditions and opens the way for a third bailout for Greece. Eurozone leaders announced the breakthrough early today after marathon talks in Brussels. The deal still must be approved by the Greek Parliament. After that, negotiators will hammer out the finer points, but the net result, Greece will remain in the Eurozone.
From the beginning of the so-called Greek case, the Commission has repeated again and again that we would not accept any form of Grexit. There is no Grexit, and on form and substance we are satisfied with the result that we have found.
The great majority of Greek people will support this effort to return to growth, as they will recognise that we fought a righteous battle to the end. We negotiated throughout the night.
And we're covering every angle of this story. Senior international correspondent Pleitgen is in Berlin, and Isa Soares has the Greek view from Athens. Let's start with Isa. This deal is far worse than what was offered a couple of weeks ago, which was voted down by the people of Greece. What are they saying about it?
Hi, good morning to you, Lynda. It is far worse, much harsher measures, and people are still pretty much in a state of shock and confusion. We are starting to get a sense of how Athenians at least are reacting. Many people saying it is humiliating, some saying that really angry at the way that the German government, as well as the Nordic countries, the way they have treated Greece. Many people pretty angry at the fact that they have to push through more austerity measures, they say, that clearly hasn't worked for the last 5 years. But I have heard from many people basically saying, you know, this is the best of two bad deals, to be completely honest, and we will push through these measures. We will work hard as we have. We don't want pity, but it will be tough. And I think people probably will, what they're most worried about, Lynda, if I can be completely honest with you, is the question of the banks, because this is what affects them the most. When will they be open? When will those capital controls be lifted? When will they return to a sense of normality, Lynda?
Absolutely. And of course, this deal isn't finalised until Alexis Tsipras sells it in Parliament. Now, he only has until Wednesday to do that. And at this stage, there are no provisions in it for debt relief. How is that going to play out?
Well, I think, as you know, Lynda, you and I have spoken about this at great length. We know there is dissent within the Syriza ranks. You remember when he put the proposals through before he went to Europe, you know there was 15 Syriza members who were just rebelling against those measures, who pretty much did not back him. He did get the support, though, from many opposition parties. So the feeling is that he will have probably around 30 or so MEPs from Syriza who will not support him, because overnight we also heard another 15 MEPs basically wrote a letter saying they will not push through austerity. That is something they did not come to power promising the people. So, though there will be dissent, will he have to reshuffle his own party? That is one opportunity. That's one option that's on the table. Perhaps he will ask them to step down or force them to step down. Another option, Lynda, is to try and get the support of a broader coalition in place. So there are options there, but the consensus is, from what I'm hearing from politicians, MEPs, is really that he has enough support to push the measures through. Remember that he got 251 votes last week, so many believing that he can do so, but it won't be done without a bit of an uproar, let's just put it that way.
And of course, many economists thought this would have been much worse if there was an exit. That proposal for a temporary exit was taken off the table, so surely there must be some relief about that.
Oh, a huge relief. And, you know, as this news was coming out yesterday, we're hearing about option 2, exactly that temporary Brexit that you're talking about, Lynda. You know, I came across so many people who were just so angry and pretty much spitting feathers at the fact that this was even, that Schäuble could even consider this. I mean, this is something they did not want. 75% of Greeks want to stay in Europe. They don't want more austerity, but they also didn't want to leave the currency union. So many people very angry at the fact that that was there, that was being circulated, but glad this morning that that is no longer on the table. Nevertheless, the measures are very harsh. More austerity, pretty much more cuts coming through, crossing all those red lines Alexis Tsipras said he did not want to cross. And it's a very, very tight corset that will make the Greek economy very hard to breathe in the next coming weeks, indeed years.
Let's go now to Fred Pleitgen in Berlin. And Fred, as these talks went on, there was a lot of talk about trust. Chancellor Merkel said, and I quote, "The most important currency was lost, and that is trust." Greece will hand over $55 billion of assets. Was that needed to restore that trust?
Well, it certainly is something that the Germans were very much calling for, to try and restore some of that trust. And I think that a lot of people tend to underestimate the amount of trust that was destroyed within these negotiations. And if you look back at the negotiations that happened over the course of the weekend, then the German finance minister, Wolfgang Schäuble, said at the very outset on Friday that it was amazing to him to what extent the trust between these two partners had been destroyed, or between Greece and other Eurozone partners as well. So certainly, the final agreement, if you look at it, the amount of reforms that are demanded of Greece, also that fund that Greece has to create that you were just talking about with the $55 billion worth of assets in it that are sort of a collateral, if you will, that certainly does reflect the fact that the Germans say that at this point in time, there really isn't very much trust between themselves and the Greeks. And obviously the same would be true with other Eurozone countries as well. If you took a look at the Baltic states, you took a look at a lot of the Eastern European states that very much are skeptical of whether or not the Greeks are going to push all these reforms through. And you can really tell how the relations between Greece and other Eurozone partners have really deteriorated over the course of all of this, especially between the former Greek finance minister, Yanis Varoufakis, and Wolfgang Schäuble, where you could just see the relations between these two getting worse and worse. So the agreement that is now on the table, and Angela Merkel did say this, is one that trust can be built upon, but certainly does not reflect the fact that trust is currently there. Lynda?
So with that in mind, obviously the Germans got probably a better deal than what they thought they would. Will they find it easy to sell this back home?
Well, I'm not sure they got a better deal than what they thought they would, but I think that they did remain very, very tough on most of the issues. And if you look at what they set out to do, then they really only budged on very few of the measures that they wanted. And what they want in place now is they want assurances that reforms are actually going to happen in Greece. And it seems as though the final document gives them that, and that certainly is going to make it easier for Angela Merkel to sell all of this back home. What's going to happen here is that after the Greek parliament approves these new measures, which most likely will be on Wednesday, if the Greek parliament does approve it, the German parliament is going to have to do the same thing on Thursday or Friday, most probably, of this week. It's going to definitely help Angela Merkel get it through Parliament, and not only get it through Parliament with a majority, because the opposition is actually on her side. The big thing is getting her own parliamentary faction to get behind it. The majority of the conservative members of German parliament, a lot of them are very skeptical, and a lot of them are saying, quite frankly, it's very difficult for us to sell additional aid to Greece, to our constituencies back home. So that certainly is a tall task for Angela Merkel, but the agreement in its current shape is definitely something that will help her get it through Parliament, and then obviously get it enacted within the entire Eurozone. Lynda?
We'll have to see how it all plays out. Fred Pleitgen in Berlin and Isa Soares in Athens, thank you very much.